Hello everyone, today I'm going to share with you guys my life-turning event. That was indeed an unexpected and surprising event of my life. But before getting into the video, don't forget to subscribe our channel for more interesting and grossing real couple stories. Meet me. This is her word calm. I'm 31 years old man. I'm basically based in New York, where I'm currently working in an office as a developer in an IT department. Let's backtrack and revisit the year 2019 when I got married to a beautiful lady named Brian. I remember Brianne used to be very creative and talented. I met her for the very first time in a food fest. Well, after having a relationship of 3 months, we decided to get married as Brianne got pregnant while we were dating. I got married to her and started my new life. There used to be 4 people in our house. Me, my wife, my mother and stepsister. Well, everything was going good soon. We blessed with the baby girl. Life was going perfectly. All right. I remember my wife was really very responsible and caring woman who used to prepare food for us. She was indeed very caring and beautiful mother as well. Our physical relationship was going really good. I remember she used to was at church twice in a week but never asked me to go along with her. I used to consider her very religious and pious. Well, when our daughter turned 5 years old, my wife decided to do a job at a hotel as a receptionist. Everything was going perfectly good, but things started going wrong gradually. I remember it was Saturday's night and about 1 a.m. of the night when my wife seemed really restless. She was in a complex state. It seemed like she was confused about something. I hadn't ever seen her like this before. She was setting badly. When I asked her for the medicine, she literally entered me very rudely and then slept. I was completely immersed in sleep. Meanwhile, I woke up in order to quench my thirst. I found my wife nowhere in the bed. I stood up in order to find her and finally found her in the storeroom. I was shocked to see my wife on a phone call at this dark hour of night. I remember soon she found me at front of her. She was literally very confused when I asked her what she was doing in the storeroom and to whom she was calling at this late night. My wife's reply was literally beyond my understanding. She said that she was missing one of her friends and then called her. She further said me that she was talking here at the storeroom and she did not want me to disturb. Well, I ignored and asked her to sleep with me the way she was hiding her mobile phone from me. Literally a matter to consider, but I did not take anything on my nerves. The next morning when I woke up, my wife was in the kitchen and was making breakfast for us. Before that, she used to be very energetic and active in the morning. But that morning, her face expressions made me clear that she was really anxious. I remember she was really very depressed and seemed like she had not slept all over the night. Maybe my wife cried the whole night. I could see her bulging and swelling eyes. I really wanted to know the reason of her depression because I had never seen her like this before. I remember my wife even forgot to add sugar in my tea that day. She was really absent-minded that day. When I asked her what happened to her, she said me nothing. Instead took her back and went to her workplace while I asked her, should I drop her off to her workplace? My wife's response was really so awkward and cringy. She was literally like a fish out of water that time and hurriedly went out of the house for her workplace by saying that she was getting late. I remember before that she used to hug me and our daughter tightly before leaving for her workplace. But this time, she was really very depressed that she did not show any affection for us. I remember when I reached the house, I was continuously thinking about my wife's strange behavior. I called my wife in order to ask me the reason of her strange behavior. But she did not pick up my call. When I reached the house, my wife was not present in the house. I was really very shocked and nervous because before that, she used to reach from her workplace very early. When I asked my mother about my wife, she told me that my wife hadn't reached yet. To be honest, I was really worried about her and thought that someone may be harassing my wife. Well, I remember my wife reached the house at about 11 p.m. of the night. I remember when my wife reached the house, her makeup was ruined and she seemed extremely tired when I asked her what happened to her. My wife said me today that there was a visit of a chairman in her workplace. So it was mandatory for her to stay at the workplace and the chairman is gone. Well, I did not say her anything. Instead asked her to have a dinner with me, but she denied and said that she was totally full. The next morning when I woke up, my wife was preparing herself at front of mirror. I remember for the very first time I had seen her putting so much makeup like before that she used to be very simple and decent. But this time she was preparing herself like if she was going to a party or an event. When I asked her where she was going, my wife said that she was having lunch at her workplace. I did not say her anything but asked her to reach house early. I remember she was keeping something in her bag and was trying to hide. At first I did not notice anything, but the way she was hiding something secretly was really thought-provoking. My wife's activities were getting strange day by day. Like one day, something really awkward happened. I remember it was about 3 a.m. of the night when my wife's phone began to ring. I remember as soon as my wife heard her phone's ringing, she quickly woke up and took her mobile phone when I asked her who was calling her at this dark hour of night. My wife said that it was a wrong number. I really ignored and then again slept. But it was a really strange thing that when I accidentally opened my eyes about 4 Amy was shocked to see my wife nowhere in the bedroom. When I opened the door of our bedroom's washroom in order to find my vibe, I could to see my wife holding her phone full and was almost full naked. I was just so shocked to see her in the state at this dark hour at night and then asked her furiously that what she was doing. I remember my wife was literally so confused and had no words to say. She cunningly began to give me an explanation that she got some seasonal allergy and is trying to figure out them by the phone's camera. The way she was telling a lie with me was all clear because if she was having an allergy, then there must be shed some redness or wounds on her body. But her body was all fresh and clear. I remember I was continuously thinking about my wife's strange behavior that night and couldn't even sleep properly. My wife's activities were literally so stressful for me because she used to be occupied in her phone. Most of the time I remember it was my birthday. I was obviously expecting my wife to have a wonderful and amazing birthday for me, but it was really heartbreaking that my wife did not even wish me properly. She literally wished me at about 2 p.m. of afternoon and then apologized that she was occupied in some urgent work. So she forgot to wish me. She was never like that before. In fact, she used to arrange parties for me. Once my stepsister told me something really unbelievable. My stepsister came to my room in my vibe absence and told me something that was really a turning point of my life. She told me that yesterday's night when she was alone with her friends in the club, she saw my wife dating a man. At first, after hearing my stepsister's words about my wife, I was literally quiet and then asked my sister to go out of my room. I thought that maybe my stepsister was jealous of my wife and planned this intentionally. I literally ignored her. But one day something really unexpected happened that compelled me to think about my wife's strange activities. I remember it was Sunday's night and was about 2 a.m. of the night. I was sleeping peacefully. Meanwhile, I woke up in order to quench my thirst. When I caught a sight on my side, I was shocked to see my wife nowhere in the bed. That time, I realized that something must be wrong with her because the way she was disappearing since many days at night was literally a matter to notice. I hardly woke up with an intention to catch my wife red-handed. I found her nowhere and finally caught a sight on my wife who was in a storeroom. I remember she was having an erotic conversation with someone. I was shocked to see my wife almost all naked. After looking her like this, there was obviously no place of my angriness. I literally yelled at her. As soon as my wife found me, she was literally like a fish out of water. She was having no words to say. And I asked her what she was doing and why she was wearing this revealing dress. My wife said that today was having her lesbian friend's birthday who wanted my wife to wish her like this. My wife further told me that her lesbian friend was having a blood cancer and she was on the last stage. So my wife was doing all this in order to make her happy. After hearing my wife's words, I was literally shocked for once. She was indeed a clever woman who gave me this answer. I did not say her anything and asked her to sleep with me. The next morning, I decided to chase my wife as things were getting complex day by day. As soon as my wife went out of the house for her workplace, I hardly started following her. I was shocked to see my wife at a Joyland where she threw her mobile phone in the bin. I remember she was continuously looking here and there like if she did not want anyone to check her mobile phone. I was literally wondering on my Vice, this strange act, and then realized that something must be wrong with her and there must be something in her mobile. As soon as my wife left that bin place, I hurriedly went to the bin in order to check out my wife. When I took out her mobile phone, it was switched off. When I switched on the phone in order to see what was my wife hiding, I was unable to open anything as there was having password and other securities. I took my wife's phone to the repairing shop and asked the shopkeeper to open password, but he refused. Well, then my friend suggested me a hacker who helped me in opening my wife's phone with that password. I literally shocked to see my Vice erotic pictures with the man. There was having my Vice nude as well. I was unable to read my Vice chat on WhatsApp or any other social media platforms, as my Vibe headed initially removed every application from her mobile phone. After seeing my wife's inappropriate pictures, there was literally no place for my angriness. I furiously went to my house and slapped my wife. She yelled at me a lot. And then I asked her about that erotic pictures I had seen in her mobile phone. I remember after hearing this, my wife was literally like a fish out of water. She was literally confused and began to cry. She told me that it was her old pictures when she was in a relationship with her college fellow. Then I asked why she was her mobile phone from me. My wife replied that she did not want me to know her past. My mother was supporting my wife, so I couldn't say her anything. Well, I asked my stepsister about that person to whom my wife was dating and showed her my wife's picture with that man. My stepsister told me that she had seen my wife along with the same man who was in the picture with my wife. Well, it was really very confused. So I decided to get into the depth of the matter. I got in contact with my wife's childhood friend who's really greedy and financially unstable. I offered her some money and asked her about my wife's activities. She told me that my wife was right. That person was her boyfriend in her college life. Her friend father told me that my wife is discussing with her about her ex-boyfriend since many months. Her friend told me that one day, my wife was saying her that she started missing her ex. I realized that my wife was actually dating that man and was totally lying with me. I'm writing this all because I am in a complex situation. Yesterday, I received a call from my wife's friend who told me that my Vice ex has started a job at my wife's workplace. I'm really worried about my daughter's future. I asked my wife, friend to plan a dinner for my wife and also to invite my wife ex because I wanted to catch them red-handed. I also wanted my mother to see my wife's activities because she's trusting her blindly for no reason. We are going to have a dinner in this coming Saturday. I'll for sure expose my Vice infidelity to everyone, even to my own daughter. What would you do if you got the same situation?